Hello again, YouTube. This is Dr. Kendo. We've got a pretty action-packed, lots of characters that I'm going to be creating in Scribblenauts Unlimited today. Let's get right into it. These are the object editor commentaries that I do every Sunday, or at least most Sundays, starting off with a mecha as the source object, and then taking an android for the head. We're going to use these little rectangle shapes and a dot. Actually, the dot is going to be a good way to round out the ear shape, I guess, where the ear would be on this character. You can probably see what's coming into formation, and of course you've probably seen the title of this video and everything, so you know who I'm creating. Nathan Hernandez's arms right here are gonna add to our creation, which is Iron Man. So this is Iron Man, and I've used, of course, as I just said, Nathan Hernandez for the top part of the arms, and then we also have the mecha, just repeat mecha for the bottom part, basically, you know, for the fists and things. I used the neck piece of a crane. It's sort of the middle neck piece, and a pearl is going to be this spot, I guess, in the middle of Tony Stark's Iron Man suit right there. It's where he has that glowing chest gem thing right there, and rounding out his feet or whatever is basically just copying the mecha thigh part area. And, you know, this is where I typically read background information or fun facts, so I'm just going to be going quickly since there's so many characters that we're going to be creating. The Avengers, just to start off, the Avengers 2012 movie made $623.4 million in North America and $895.2 million in other countries, making it a worldwide total of $1.52 billion. It became the third highest grossing film worldwide when it was released, as well as highest grossing film of 2012. Now we'll be met with the Avengers sequel called Age of Ultron coming this May. So Iron Man, believe it or not, Tom Cruise was almost cast to play the part of Tony Stark in the Iron Man movies earlier on. When fully powered, the Iron Man suit can apparently lift up to 100 tons, and when it's the Hulkbuster Iron Man suit, it could lift up to 175 tons. That is, 100 tons is coincidentally, I think, also the weight that they say the Hulk can lift when he's relaxed, you know, when he's not fully beefed up and everything. Now, this is just a quick test of the scripts. We're going to shoot our Iron Man here to see if he shoots out a missile. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it was good. Okay, I don't really need to do any more tests right now. But basically, I had a script on where basically whenever he takes damage, he not only becomes brave, but then he'll shoot out a small missile as well. So it looks like it worked. This is the Hulkbuster. You basically just take the Iron Man that we just created and make it a little bit wider, you know, so take the body part and move that up. We've used a 29-page library arm right there, a bomb disposal expert for the head, and knee pads for the shoulder parts right there. And that's pretty much the Hulkbuster. Of course, you should make him more beefy and have more health and all that stuff. Starting off with CIBELE or CIBELE, I don't know how you say this person's name. She's one of the Fifth Cell developers, so I do apologize to her for probably butchering her name right here. Start off with her and put BRITTANY AUBERT as the head, and we're pretty close to Black Widow right there, you know. You just add some guns. The letter I is kind of what I'm using for these belts and these things that are going across her legs and whatnot. Now this is interesting here for her belt icon or whatever. It's nailed. It's NALED. It's like this pesticide. I know that it's actually pronounced differently in North America to other parts of the world. Black Widow, believe it or not, the only scene that stayed exactly the way it was written in the original script for the first Avengers movie was that near beginning scene of Black Widow with the interrogation where she fights all of those dudes from her chair. It was a really epic scene, but reminiscent of a scene in Charlie's Angels where Drew Barrymore does a similar kind of fight scene. So that's kind of interesting, right? We kind of have her scripted, not really for specific weapons in the weapon category of Scribblenauts, but I did make her behavior be for that she'll use guns. So the character that we're creating here uses guns, and I can also do a loses or gains health script to make her create an object, and we'll just have her create a pistol. It's pretty much the same as a gun. She will create that whenever she takes some damage, so that'll mean that, you know, when she gets attacked, she pulls out the weapon, basically, because we have her scripted to, in the behaviors, to use guns. So it all works out pretty good, and we're moving on quickly, of course, starting off with a bodybuilder. You want the male version, most likely, because the female one has the bikini and whatnot and looks a little bit different, because we are creating the Incredible Hulk. At this time, I went ahead and kept the head that was on there. I know back in Unmasked, which I did create the Incredible Hulk in Scribblenauts Unmasked, but I know some people thought maybe you could use a different head and whatnot, and that's fine. You don't need to tell me, you can just use whatever head you want to use. But I actually really like the bodybuilder head right here. Add some eyebrows, a nose, this little cat tail painted black, dots for the eyes. Those legs right there are from a mutant, so you just type in mutant and grab the back leg of the mutant. And I love the Incredible Hulk from the first Avengers movie, and supposedly Lou Ferrigno, the original television Hulk from the 70s and 80s, had apparently provided his voice along with Mark Ruffalo's, whom you saw playing David Banner in the Avengers movie. So I guess they sort of just mashed up the two voices whenever it sounded like the Hulk is making two voices at once, So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Oh gosh, I hope everybody thinks that I sound normal. I've been having some crazy neck pain and some discs are out of alignment in my neck and it's kind of pushing up against my vocal cords in a weird way, so I do apologize if there's any awkward sounds coming from my voice. And this is actually currently being recorded from my hotel room. I'm in San Antonio, Texas for the first ever PAX South. So it's also creating some kind of weird acoustics and it's hard to speak normally in here. Okay, but hey, back to the Incredible Hulk. Of course, I'm having him when he gets attacked, he becomes angry. And of course, we're looking for that specific adjective of angry because we also want it to basically wait a few frames and then it will remove that adjective of angry. So the next one is not a huge stretch for the character we are creating here, which is we just used an archer as the source object, and using Nathan Hernandez, once again, just take his head and that will make for Hawkeye here that we're going to be creating. I just painted most of his outfit black. Now we are going to be taking ninja arms, but use the female ninja because she has some different patterns than the male ninja, and this way we can actually color, give him a little bit more color. Of course, he's not just got an all black outfit, he's got a little bit of like reddish tint to some of his clothing, so you can use that red and black pattern. I've used it in a lot of my other videos and whatnot. It's a color pattern in the color pattern library. And apparently, Joss Whedon is having a much better time writing for Hawkeye in the Avengers Age of Ultron, because this time he won't be possessed for the beginning portion of the movie, so I suppose we should expect to see a bit more of Hawkeye, or at least a bit more of a dynamic side to the character. And one interesting thing about Hawkeye, and maybe this is true for some of the other heroes as well, is that he looks pretty different in the movie, I would say, compared to several of his comic book appearances. I like the designs either way, but we're doing all of the designs in Scribblenauts Unlimited here pretty much based off of their Avengers Age of Ultron look. As best as I could get it, I just kind of used Google Images, search Avengers Age of Ultron, and that sort of led us to where these designs are coming from. Of course, a lot of them probably match the first movie pretty well, such as Thor, which, by the way, we're just using Thor as the source object, and the interesting thing here is this head that I added. I feel like it looks a lot like Chris Hemsworth in a way, but it's actually a serial killer, so I used a serial killer's head, and then a warrior's arms, and we're just taking spheres and hemisphere shapes and just making those the, I guess, these pieces of his armor or outfit or whatever. And I'm testing out a Viking leg right here instead of Thor. I know that the Thor in Scribblenauts is a little bit short, but we need to use the back leg of the Viking, I think, and that will kind of proportionately fit the character a little bit better. So while Thor's powers have changed over time, like a lot of the other comic book superheroes, the mechanics behind his ability to fly have remained mostly stable over the years. And I would more say fly in quotation marks, kind of quote unquote flying. And believe it or not, Thor actually spent some time in a few comics as a frog due to some nasty magic from his brother Loki. But I'm not creating the frog version of Thor, obviously, and I'm not creating any of the villains or anything from the Avengers, so no Loki in this episode at least, and no Ultron is going to be in this one. I'll probably go ahead and create the Vision in the end. That's the closest that we would get. But hey, you just, I guess, would request it separately if you wanted to actually see me create the other characters, those villains and stuff. So one thing that I am going to need to make sure of at the end is make sure that these are all kind of approximately the same size, or I should say proportionately sized. The Hulk should obviously be bigger than a lot of them, but as well as the Hulkbuster armor. Now, another fascinating thing, hopefully for you guys, is that I did create a lightning hammer way back in the days. This was before the series that I do right now was all about gaming and movie-related characters and TV and stuff. it was just kind of random requests, and somebody asked me to make a lightning hammer, so it was quite reminiscent, of course, of Thor's hammer, the Mjolnir. So I have named this Mjolnir, and I just put on a noose at the bottom of it and a couple of cat tails painted silver, and that kind of gives it the look that you just saw right there. And now we're scripting it to basically whenever it is equipped, then it will add the adjective flying to whoever is equipping it. And so then you just do a separate script that says when this object is unequipped, you go ahead and remove an adjective, which is flying. So, whenever you drop the hammer, you can't fly. Drop the hammer. Whenever you drop it, you can't fly anymore. So I just have Thor who's going to use it. So, it's not really meant to happen for other characters, although if you want to give it to them, that's fine. So here is Thor, and let's give him the Mjolnir, and it does look like it shoots out some lightning. That's pretty cool, and he can fly, so that's pretty good. Of course, in the movie, you see him often twirl it around and things like that. It would be kind of cool if we could do that in Scribblenauts, but of course, that's kind of how he gets that mechanism. It was a little bit different in the comics. He would throw it up while holding onto the strap, and it would sort of take him to his destination. So it looks like it worked against this angry beast that I just put out onto the screen. Let's start off with Nathan Hernandez as the source object this time for one of our next, I feel like this is a Fifth Cell developer who's getting tons of airtime in this episode, but it's for our next creation. This is going to be for Quicksilver, and you'll see actually why I did Nathan Hernandez other than just the design and the colors and things like that right here. He's got an interesting way that he moves in this game, and I'll just have to show you again when we drop him onto the level, but here we're using an Archaeopteryx. You should see the spelling right there. It was on screen just a second ago, and we're using that Archaeopteryx leg and painting it white for kind of those almost lightning bolt shapes that are on Quicksilver's outfit. And then Reuben Donnington is going to be the head that we use, and we're also going to add in a little bit of hair, so just type in hair and kind of put them on either side so it makes his hair a little bit longer. And color everything appropriately as you see. We're also going to use Dancer and use the back leg of the Dancer as both the legs here for our Quicksilver creation, and give him some nice tennis shoes. You just type in shoes actually, I should say, but it looks like tennis shoes just like the Avengers Age of Ultron Quicksilver has. And we've got some dual big screen action coming with Quicksilver in that we see him in the X-Men movie Days of Future Past and the upcoming Avengers Age of Ultron movie, but not played by the same actor. Aaron Taylor Johnson played Quicksilver in a cameo appearance in the Captain America Winter Soldier movie, and he will actually have more of a full role in the Avengers Age of Ultron. It is worth noting, however, that Evan Peters will return as Quicksilver in 2016's X-Men Apocalypse, and that was the actor who played him back in the Days of Future Past. Going along with that X-Men background, Quicksilver's story will show actually that he is the son of none other than Magneto. That's pretty crazy, huh? And he's also the twin brother of Scarlet Witch, which is who we're creating here with Brittany Aubert as the source object. So you'll recall that name from when we were making Black Widow. So their heads will be similar, obviously, and they both actually kind of have reddish hair. So I gave her a necklace basically and just a little bit darker shade, almost brown red, rather than I guess the blondish red that is in our Black Widow creation. So obviously, as I said, twin sister to Quicksilver, daughter of X-Men's Magneto. I really don't know much about Scarlet Witch actually. What I've found is that Scarlet Witch is a mutant with the ability to alter probability, and she can warp reality. I read that she can physically manifest her hexes as spheres or bolts with relatively short range, kind of within her range of sight. It requires a gesture and some concentration on her part, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to pull it off here in Scribblenauts, so I'm kind of just going to script her weapon to be a fireball, and then we'll have her shoot a ruby ice ball. Hopefully it just sort of looks like one of her hexes. I'm not super familiar with it, unfortunately, but it should do. This is no need to split hairs here. But here we go. We're going to put the Scarlet Witch on the map. I just want to kind of test to see what her projectiles and things look like. I want this bear to actually hit her first. There we go, so that the script will happen. And yeah, okay, I guess it looks good. Again, I don't know exactly what the hexes look like and things like that. Yeah, I just read that they were as spheres and bolts. So this should go ahead and work, and ow, she hit me. And so it looks like that should kill off this evil, angry bear. All right, so we will move on to our last character that we're going to create for this episode. I know that I'm moving super fast, and again, it's just because we're creating so many different things. This is almost a combination of lots of the characters that we've created so far, because Nathan Hernandez is the source object once again, like we did with Quicksilver. And then we've just used a cape, and you might want to put it kind of sideways. I know that his cape and often in his images looks kind of more vertical vertically up and down. Not that that matters too much, but we've also used an android as the head, and we're kind of going with a dark green and this almost magenta red palette or fuchsia red palette, and the cape is yellow. I'm using a tornado kind of for this little image that is going to be on his chest, but right now I'm also looking for the perfect bird shape, and I think flamingo is going to do it. You just kind of take the upper leg part of the flamingo, and that will be sort of the connection of the cape onto his center jewel or whatever that is, that little shape that's on his the center of his chest. Now I'm going to use an eyebrow because he does have a little marking, I guess, of that dark green color coming down in this point on his forehead, so I figured that that would look the best, and I don't exactly like the shape of the jewel. I just tried it. I'm going to try diamond instead for this jewel that he has up on his forehead. So this is definitely an important addition to the vision. I do like it. I do like how this is turning out. You can of course give him a nose if you want to. I'm trying it without the nose right here just to see what it looks like. This is pretty cool. We have the main cast all out here for the Avengers, and that's the Captain America that I created in a past episode. So no, I didn't forget him or anything. He was created in his own special episode. So please definitely go back and watch that. You can also see that we have the Captain America shield, of course. Now, as I mentioned before, I wanted to make Quicksilver with Nathan Hernandez as the source object because you're going to see how he moves. He sort of runs almost like Sonic the Hedgehog, I feel like. Let's try to provoke him and see if we can get him to move over here, and so you could see how he runs. I guess that sort of worked. He killed that angry beaver in just like one hit. We'll do angry monkey. Come on. Oh, crap. Now the monkey's going to attack me. There we go. So you can see kind of that he's running crazy with his arms out behind him. Again, it sort of looks like Sonic the Hedgehog to me a little bit. But hey, I mean, that was what I wanted it to look like. I wanted it to look like he was running so fast, you know. We'll go ahead and mix it up with all of these characters in here, and the Incredible Hulk is actually running. I should probably make a script for that to help. But I've placed down this crazy, angry, powerful, big monster, and hopefully it will be a challenge for all the Avengers, although they're all sort of fighting each other, because in Scribblenauts, you know, if you put a big group of characters all together, especially in close proximity, they're probably going to hit each other on accident whenever something provokes them, so it's not looking like this is working out too well. I'm trying to drop them a little bit more where they will hit the monster instead, or where the monster might hit them or something, but it doesn't quite look like that's happening, unfortunately. I just made the Hulkbuster interact to attack, and I'm also going to join the battle as another Avengers character with the Captain America shield, and I throw it in. Oh, I hit Iron Man with it instead. Oops. So now Iron Man is attacking me. That's hilarious. And Hulk is doing push-ups at the time of his death, it looks like, but now all the Avengers are attacking each other, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and clear everybody out, and then we'll put them all back in and apply the adjective still so you can get a good look at all of them being still right here. Might want to make the Hulkbuster a little bit wider by increasing the size of the body, the torso parts for the mecha. But otherwise, I mean, that all looks pretty cool. Maybe now, since I've created everybody else, I might have to make Captain America a little bit taller, you know, just go in and make the entire object bigger and taller, just because, you know, the Captain America was created independently of all these other characters, although he is sinking into the ground more than anybody except for Quicksilver. Well, maybe that's contributing to some of his shortness. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this longer episode right here. Lots of characters that I created in this one, and honestly, I have been feeling like crap, and with this neck problem that I've got going on, it's a miracle that I'm even doing this right now. So, I hope everybody appreciates that. I've actually been here at PAX South in San Antonio, Texas, checking out all of the good stuff that is here at PAX. It's pretty fun stuff. But I appreciate your attention, and I will catch you on the next vid. And thanks for viewing.
Getting down to the matter, let's look at it more. My words ain't meant to be about waging war. They're meant to bring justice to all wrongdoers. They're like a spectacle so you can be the viewer. And
down the road of